One of my buddies, he would go on my Wikipedia and he would change a couple of things. He would change my age to 107. And then he would change the instruments that I play to keyboard and the skin flute. Making art to be successful is often a bad way to go about things. Making things to just be great is, I think, should be the first step. I walk through into the studio, I stop the music, I've got an idea. Turn the mic on. You know, I'm like, hey, Pablo. Back in 2017, I was signed to a really, really big fucking shit label. And
I love the brutal honesty, by the way. All right. Welcome back, fam, to another episode of TSL Time Podcast. Today we have ourselves a very special guest, Chris Lake. How we doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, man. You flew in last night?
I flew in last night. I'm feeling fresh.
Fresh?
I might not look it, but I feel it.
I'm definitely feeling a bit fresh, although I did have myself a good night yesterday.
Where did you go?
Was it Factory Town?
Of course.
Why do you say of course that way?
It's the place to go. It's great fun.
It's a great place. How you doing? How many times have you done Music Week now?
Every year for, I was trying to think the first year I came. It's probably about 20 years ago.
20 years.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I'm an old fuck. So we've established that. Next question.
How have you seen Music Week change? Is it still exciting?
Well, first off, it was mostly based around being in South Beach, and the parties that would be going on at the hotels here, and it was less focused on Ultra. Now, really, and there was the conference as well. I think it was like some conference center
WMC,
somewhere. Yeah, that's not the focus now. Really, it's kind of I'd say it's really considered to be the week that Ultra Festival happens. That's really how it's changed. So I feel like that festival's the focus, and everything else pops up around it. But the music industry as a whole is used to kind of, some of the older people, they're used to kind of like seeing this as the beginning of the season. This is the time where everyone's been hibernating during the winter, making songs, prepping their plans for, releases, parties, and all this sort of stuff, and they come to Miami and they start telling all their peers about it. That's historically what Miami's been. Oh, and also coming here and getting absolutely fucked up. But that goes without saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you've done Ultra a few times now.
I have, but not that many times. I was meant to do it last year and we got rained out. That was with Fisher. So and that was a disaster. So almost played.
Yeah. It's so weird, man. Ultra weekend, like the weather will be super nice the weeks leading up to it,
yeah.
And then out of nowhere, the rain will just be like, "Fuck you guys."
You're from here, right?
Yeah, I'm from here as well.
Yeah. The weather's generally great, but it can be a bit fucked when it starts raining, and it was an absolute disaster. Yeah, so I think the show got pulled minutes before. Yeah, like maybe an hour before we went on, and then they never opened it up again. So it sucks.
Do you enjoy playing in front of those massive crowds more than maybe some smaller clubs and stuff like that?
Honestly, no, but I don't dislike it. It's just more like if I had a favorite, I'd say smaller crowds. I feel more connected because I can. It's just easier to kind of feel involved with the crowd. And feel the connection. But the bigger crowds, listen, the reactions are fantastic. It's sort of the atmosphere is electric, but it's also, I feel like it's harder to have a real grasp of the nuances of like the crowd's reaction. And I grew up as a small club DJ. I enjoy that. It's really, I'd say that's probably my favorite. But yeah, I still enjoy the festivals, but it's not maybe it's just harder to have a read on what's going on.
Yeah, it must feel a little bit more difficult to connect because there's so many people in front of you.
Well, the other thing is some of the stages, the way they're designed to look good for the crowd, and often you can't. You don't realize when you're designing it, or when whoever is designing the stage, you don't realize that maybe the positioning of the lights or something to make it look good for the crowd actually makes it so that I can't see a fucking thing. You know, there are a lot of stages where I'm up on stage and I literally I can't see the crowd. I've got no idea what's going on. It's pretty heavy.
That must be a bit frustrating sometimes.
Well, yeah, but it's, so especially when you don't realize until you step up and you're playing your first song, and so it can be a bit disorientating. It doesn't happen that often, but it happens on a few occasions. So.
What are some of the biggest festivals you've done?
Biggest festivals. Well, one of the biggest crowds has got to be like the EDC main stage, because that's normally that's upwards of. That's approaching like 80 to 100,000 people. That's a lot of people.
That's a lot of fucking
That's
people.
a lot of people. Coachella was pretty big as well. That was 55. That was 55,000 we had at that stage. I'm not sure. Yeah, that's got to be about the biggest. I did a love parade in Paris. I played before David Guetta. That was big crowd. No idea how many that was. No, I have no idea, but that was a really, really big crowd.
And how does it feel to be like? I've always wondered when I'm as myself as a party goer, being in the crowd, seeing the DJ in front of there, controlling that energy behind everyone. Has the feeling changed over time, or does it still feel just as special to be? It
feels just as special, but it's just nice having. I do enjoy having recognition for my songs. That's a nice feeling. I like that. I'm like, yeah, that's validated all those years of wasting so much time in a small room trying to tweak the sound of a snare.
Let's rewind into those years. You grew up in the UK, right?
Mm-hmm. I did.
Where are you from again?
I'm English. So I was born in England, but I during my teenage years kind of moved to Northern Ireland for a year. My father was working there. Then that job ended, and he got a job in Scotland, northeast of Scotland, very, very quite remote part of the country. And that's where I kind of finished my school and really got into music. That's where I learned about house music and progressive house at the time. I was kind of like really into like there was a compilation series called the Global Underground series, where they'd have mixed CDs made by DJs like Sasha, Digweed, Nick Warren, Sander Kleinenberg. Who else did them? Deep Dish, Danny Howells. So just a bunch of like underground DJs, and I loved the kind of music that was put out on these labels. And they had a message board called the Global Underground Forum. And I was just this, I was a kid with an internet connection and not many clubs around me who would just be on those message boards, listening to, checking out the music that was being talked about on these forums. And that's how I learned about like underground music and stuff. And I got really into that. I started making songs that started getting played by a lot of these DJs that were making these compilations. And that's kind of how I really got into the scene when I was 14. Yeah, 14 years old.
Really young.
Yeah, really young. Really young.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And you played some instruments before? Or?
Yeah, the church organ.
Which organ?
The church organ.
Oh, wow.
Not my own organ, the church organ, before anyone says it. That makes me think, actually. So on Wikipedia, one of my buddies, he's such a fucking prick. So he would go on my Wikipedia and he would change a couple of things about a couple of the details. He would change my age to 107, and then he would change the instruments that I play to keyboard and the skin flute. So yeah,
this guy's a prick.
He's a fucking prick. It's funny though. Anyway, what were we talking about?
So
I can't remember what we were talking about.
so you started producing around 14.
Yeah, I started producing when I was really young. Yeah, it just started as a hobby. It was an expensive hobby at the time because this was just before. This is just before computers, before you could really make music strictly on computers, and so I was buying, keyboards, drum machines, mixers, and stuff like that, and it was very expensive. So I had to work to earn the money to buy the equipment, and then learn how to put it together. There wasn't really that much information on the internet. The internet speed was dial-up, so it was a 56K modem. It was a little bit difficult to start music compared to now, where you can make music on your phone. Probably couldn't make that good of music on your phone, but you can, if you've got a computer, you could just, have a free bit of software and you can make a track that everyone's dancing to. It's pretty amazing. So a very different time.
Yeah, technology is advancing so fast. Are you diving into a little bit of artificial intelligence with production?
I mean, not with, well, sorry, I got something on my lip. A little bit. Not really. No, maybe not like. No, okay. So, fuck, this AI chat just pickles my brain because there's so much to think about. AI is starting to kind of make its way into music production. At the moment, the way that I use it is there's a couple of cool features in sequences and stuff where I can take a sample. Let's say like I like the sound of a snare sound or something, and I can use AI to search through my sample library and show me suggestions of sounds that sound similar. That's how I use it. And that's not really that kind of people might not think that's like a really clever thing to be, to be using AI for, but it's actually really powerful for me. I found some really good sounds. I would never have found those sounds without AI's help, because, like I think my sample library's like close to, it's in the region of like 1 million sounds. You've just got to listen to all of those sounds to find something. Having AI to help you is really powerful. So that's how I've used AI so far.
That's awesome.
Well, and then, well, actually, no, I used it on Toxic. So the release that came out last month with Raji Ban, that was how the a cappella was pulled from the Belle Biv DeVoe song using AI. So AI is able to separate vocals from tracks or guitars or any specific sound, and it sounds much better quality than it ever used to. AI's been improving the quality of that. So yeah, that's how I'm using AI.
That's awesome.
I think that maybe there's some other things, but that's the only ones I can remember right now.
Yeah, I spend some time every day a little bit on ChatGPT and stuff, but I'm always curious how artists are kind of using the tools to their advantage, to innovate a bit more with sounds.
It's mad.
It's insane.
It's mad, but yeah, it's, I guess everyone's got the tool. It'll be interesting to see how some people manage to use it. Listen, it's a bit disappointing. Like, I can see where things are going, how, you can literally put in a prompt, like, make a song that sounds like Chris Lake, and it will make a song.
Is that frustrating at all?
Yeah, it is. It's sort of, it's flattering, but, it's, you can embrace the flattery when someone's like, oh, make a track that sounds like Chris Lake, and it ends up sounding not as good. But if it ends up sounding as good or better, I'll be pissed off, because it's like, but it is what it is. And at the same time, it's kind of like it's just accelerating a trend that ends up happening anyway, that where if you kind of make anything that has any cultural relevance to the music scene in general, if I make something and release it and it's popular, it's going to get copied, and it does. That's happened. That's happened loads of times in my career, especially over the last few years, and that's great. But that spurs me on and kind of like gives me a need to continue to innovate and move forward. So it's just another thing that's coming at me. That's all.
Yeah, there's
You
always
know?
going to be some challenges on the way.
Yeah, but that's just life. You just got to keep evolving and keep moving forward.
Talk to us a little bit about Toxic.
What do you want to know?
It's a banger.
It's a banger. It
How did
thumps.
that come about?
So Raji had already made the track. He did a fantastic job. I kind of like. I say this with so much hesitancy because I don't like it. It makes it sound like I'm dissing his production, which I'm absolutely not. But like, it just didn't hit right, and it kind of like it sounded okay if you were playing in a small club on a small system. It was like very, very bassy and kind of like overbearing. But I hit him up and I was like, look, I think you've got a really, really good song here. Would you be open to sending me the project so that I can work on it? Because I've got a vision on how it can sound better. And he was totally open to it. And he's like, would you be involved? Would you be interested in doing this as a collaboration? I was like, let me mess with it first and see if I can actually do anything that that sounds good, that justifies me having my name on the record. And then I just worked on just trying to make it more powerful, working on the mix and the sonics of it. I didn't really add too many ideas. I mean, it's a really, really simple song. It's a really simple song, and I didn't want to add things just to add things. But it took quite a while to actually get that thing to sound the way that it ended up sounding. But then when I got it dialed in, I'm like, okay, this is absolutely hammering. This is absolutely hammering. And I spoke to him, and yeah, we had the opportunity to get it cleared, and they wouldn't clear it unless my name was on it. So, and I'd worked on it, so here it is.
And there it went.
That's it. That's basically it. Raji's a he's a really good artist. I love what he's doing. I love his sound. But when you're coming up, it's really, really difficult to, if you're using these big samples, that's it's a massive old song. For those that don't understand, it's just like when was the Belle Biv DeVoe song originally out? Like 2000 or something. Like the original song's from like the year 2000 or something, no, I think it's the 90s. And someone owns that song, so you've got to get the permission to use that idea if you want it to exist in the world and not get pulled down immediately from streaming platforms. So it takes a while to do that, and it takes relationships and honestly, for these artists to actually believe that it's worth their while, even answering the email and paying their lawyers to clear it or whatever. So luckily we were able to make that happen, and here's the release. So, but full credit to Raji. He's the one that in my opinion, he's the one that deserves all the credit for this idea. He killed it. So
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you spent a lot of time on this project.
I mean, yeah, way more than I was planning to, but it worked out good.
That's great. A lot of the other artists I've spoken to as well, have mentioned before that sometimes, there's certain tracks that just, when they produce them on the spot, it's like the biggest
really
ones
quickly.
just fucking go.
Yeah, 100%. And that happens with me as well. I think with this one though, like it was a little bit different. I really badly wanted to retain Raji's original idea. Otherwise, I just felt like it was pointless. I just felt like it was kind of like ruining the track. I felt like his vision was right. It just like the sonics could have just been completely different. It was just really sometimes like the simplest sound. Like this song, you listen to it, it's like drums, a bass sound, and a vocal, and there's nothing else. It's just so simple, but it's quite hard to get that to actually work. So it took a little while to figure it out. But then there's other tracks, that I make from scratch, and it all comes together really, really quickly. And then, after 4 hours, I'm like, there we go, it's done. There's nothing else to do. It doesn't always work like that. There's other ones like Ease My Mind with Abel Balder that I did, that came out a couple of months ago. That was so much work. It took so much work. There was loads of sessions getting together with Abel Balder, and we were, trying to get the songwriting correct. And it wasn't not just about the production of the song. It was about is the song written the right way? With, you know, he's on guitar, I'm on piano, he's singing, and we're just trying to like jam and make sure that the song flows, even if you were just singing it, you know, if you were doing it like, you know, like in a room, you know, you're on guitar, I'm on piano, and that, does it sound like a good song without a beat? And it took quite a while to get that dialed in, but it was worth all of the effort. You know, it turned out to be a great song. Well, I think it did. I'm happy with it. So,
Yeah, that's amazing. You know, there's this one quote that I heard recently. It's simple succeeds, fancy fails sometimes. And
I haven't heard that.
Simple succeeds, fancy fails, but, you know, kind of like highlighting that topic that you just mentioned, that sometimes things just come quickly.
Yeah.
You know, versus other projects that, you know, really require that, you know, full dial in.
There's not just one way to make something that's that, you know, to be successful. And honestly, you know, making art to be successful is often a bad way to go about things. But, you know, making things to just be great is, I think, should be the first step. And often simple is the best, but not always. I mean, like some of the most complicated stuff is some of my favorite stuff to listen to. Like I'm a massive fan of Bonobo, and there's so much like depth and texture in his music. That is not simple. That's not simple at all, and that's some of the most rewarding stuff for me to listen to. You know, he was actually my most listened to artist in the last 10 years on Spotify, apparently. So, but then for like tracks that are going to actually, you know, sound really good in a club, invariably, it's simple. The simple stuff is always the stuff that works the best. Actually, that's the most infuriating thing is the fucking tracks that I spend so much time on, I put so much effort into. I go and play them in a club, and I'm like, oh my God, that sounds fucking awful.
Oh my gosh. You know, it's funny. Moose and I, one of your tracks, Hey Pablo, back in the day.
What a fucking stupid vocal.
That song was our anthem back in the day. What went into that track?
A stupid vocal, a beat, a bass line, and look, you know, Chris Lorenzo is one of my best friends, and we love working on that Anti-Up project. We actually wrote that one in London. This is just before he moved to LA, and I went over to work with him. I think it was for like a week or 2 weeks. He lived in the countryside in Birmingham, and it was fucking freezing. It was so cold. I'd definitely been living in LA too long at this point. And I was just like, he just wouldn't put the heating on. I'm sat there in like fucking 3 or 4 layers of clothes and stuff, just freezing my ass off in the back of the studio. And I'm like, I don't know why I'm telling you this. This is what I remember. But like, I'm like, you tight bastard, turn the fucking heating on. I'll pay you. I'll just give you money. Just turn the heating on. I'm freezing my ass off. Anyway, and that was it was during those sessions that we made. We made Hey Pablo, and I just there was what songs did we write in that session? We wrote Pizza, we wrote Hey Pablo, and it we would just be working on beats, and I just remember like walking around the studio, and then walking out into his kitchen, and I could still hear the music in the background, and I'm like, I've got an idea. I walk through into the studio, I stop the music. I've got an idea. Turn the mic on. You know, I'm like, Hey Pablo. This is the most fucking, like, all of that build up, and that is the vocal. But I feel like our humor and our stupidity listens to those vocals and goes, you know what? That's fucking stupid. Let's go through with it. Let's finish it. And that's what we did with Hey Pablo. I don't even know what it means. I don't know why I said it. It sounds great.
I just had to ask you about it because it was such a specific moment in our life,
Yeah.
high school and stuff. Just listening to that, and we were just like, God, this is a ripper.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
We go to this one club here in Miami that I don't think it's still here. It's called Treehouse.
Yeah, I remember.
And I think you played there.
I played there, yeah.
Yeah, we were there for
What did that have hanging off the ceiling?
those branches and all that.
That's it. Yeah. Let me sit up a bit. Yeah, that was fun. I like that.
I don't think
I'm glad you like that one.
No, that I'm telling you, that was a monumental moment for us. Just being there, it was unbelievable.
I played that the other day, actually. It was really... it always goes off. Always goes off. But yeah, what a stupid vocal.
Does that happen often sometimes?
Well, stupid vocals all the time.
Vocals, I feel like, must be one of the hardest parts to, bind into the tracks.
Yeah, there's just sort of, especially dance vocals. I feel like there's a very fine line between great dance tracks and nursery rhymes. So, like, I don't know, like Deceiver with Green Velvet, that could be a nursery rhyme.
That's a banger as well. And talk to us about this album.
Yeah, so what should I say about this? It feels like the first time I've talked about it. I've been thinking about doing this for a couple of years now. And I guess, what's the easiest way to explain it? A couple of years ago, I finished a bunch of touring. I'd finished a bunch of singles. Feel like I was kind of like approaching the end of a really successful period in my career. Things had gone really good. All my songs had kind of like been successful for me, and really connected with clubs and people were playing them. But like I was listening to it all, and I was like, I feel like I've really refined these tracks down to quite a simplistic form where there's not actually that much musicality in it. And I was going through some demos from a few years previous, and I felt like what I was making was a lot more musical, and I felt like that had become a bit absent in my tracks at this point. So I decided that I was going to start approaching my songs a little bit different, and I wanted to try and I had a vision in my head of how I was going to try and make my songs more musical yet still effective. Honestly, it took me ages to try and actually figure out how to pull off this sound that I had in my head. And anyway, long story short, this body of work is a representation of this vision that I tried to set out to create. And it's called Chemistry. It's 15 tracks. Am I able to say any of this? Yeah, fuck it. It's my album. It's called Chemistry. It's called Chemistry. 15 tracks on there. I've just worked with artists that I really like, and it's just a very personal thing. It's just nice to work on a body of work. It was probably a lot harder than I expected it to be, but I'm really proud of it. Self-releasing it, and it's coming out in. Can I say the release date? What can I say? I'm looking at the back of the room, looking to my overlords. Huh? Wow, she's allowed me. July 11th. It's coming out on July 11th on Blackbook, and it's a lot of work, but I'm really proud of it. So it's nice to be telling people about it.
That's amazing. You mentioned, the vision, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's usually how it begins. You begin to, see out exactly what you want to put together.
Yeah.
Walk us through a bit of that process.
Okay. What the fuck am I going to do next? That's what I'm thinking. That's basically what it was. That's where it started. I'm like, what the fuck am I going to do next? To be fair, I kind of like, I think I alluded to this earlier. I'm like, I really felt like I felt like I'd achieved the goals that I'd set out to do within my career. And I just felt like I needed a new challenge. So, it's okay. Honestly, I didn't at first set out to write an album. I just set out, I had a mental approach to how I wanted to approach writing music. Another layer to that was I wanted to be more collaborative. I wanted to get in the room more with a variety of different artists, test myself, just learn new things off new people, and I've got to work with some fantastic people. But, you know, I've ended up, you know, had great interactions with all these people, had great moments, and like I listened to the album and I remember working on the album and having these experiences with these people. So, you know, that means a lot to me. That was one of the things that I set out to do, was to make music with people that I liked. I've done that.
That's unbelievable. And so then the album is releasing in July, you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
And so this summer, it's gonna be a big summer, no?
I hope so. I hope so, unless everyone hates it.
Come on.
Well, they might do. You know, sort of music is subjective. But, you know, at the end of the day, I like it. I'm happy with it. And that is always the thing that I set out to achieve first and foremost, because I'm a selfish cunt. And I would like myself to be happy first. So, and I do think it's important because this music's my catalog. And if I'm going to put it out to the world, I should at least have the confidence that I like it before anyone else does. So, and I do. I'm really happy with it. So fingers crossed, that mantra that I've been following through with for a long, long time will continue and people like it. But if you don't, fuck you.
Yeah, fuck you. You know, I couldn't agree more. I mean, at the end of the day, it's, you know, what makes you feel good, what you like,
Yeah.
You know, and that's usually, I feel like when it comes from within like that, people, you know, enjoy it more in a way.
Well, I've had periods in my career where I didn't do that, and I hated it. I look back on it, I'm like, oh man, you know, kind of doing things because other people felt that I should have been doing it, and it, you know, feels like it represents a poor, it feels like a poor representation of me, and I feel disconnected from it, you know. So I feel like everyone should be doing this, you know, just doing what you want to do if you can.
You think that's become more challenging nowadays because becoming a DJ and producer has become so popular? I mean,
because AI is coming to get you. Yeah, I guess so. Look, it's difficult for me to have a really objective view of that because I have a career. It's not like I'm not trying to get established like that. I can see the challenges, but I do think like all I can talk about is what attracts me to any artist, and I think that it's important to. I think it's really easy to kind of sense authenticity and character in music, and I just like music that just sounds well made, you know, unique, like the ideas are fresh. That's what I like. The caffeine in my body is stopping me from remembering what the fuck we were talking about, though.
Did you have 2 cortaditos or?
I had quite a lot of caffeine. I'm definitely feeling a bit whacked out right now.
Where'd you get your coffee?
Where did I get my coffee from? She handed it to me.
Right there.
Coffee. At my hotel.
You're a big coffee guy.
I love coffee. I love coffee. That's really my only vice. Well, carry on. I love sugar as well. Keeps me chunky.
Keeps you warm.
Yes.
Most importantly.
It's my winter coat.
Yeah, I'm a big coffee guy as well. Can't operate without it. You got to start your day off with a good coffee.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. I mean, I've definitely tried. I've tried times where, you know, I've tried the whole no coffee thing. It's just a bit shit.
It's shit.
Mm-hmm.
Can't do it.
Yeah, fuck that.
Fuck that.
I like your pants, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'd call them trousers, but
some person in
anyway.
I got these in Italy. I think someone gave them to me.
Very cool.
Fresh. Before the studio sessions, are you usually cranking a little coffee or?
Oh God,
how are you locking in for a studio session?
Coffee's a really. I'm glad you asked this actually. So I feel. So my studio's in my house. Well, my studio's been in my house for the last 5 years.
You're in LA.
I'm in LA, and you know, often I'm working with people that I've never met, and I think that it's. You know, there's a few ways that you can approach studio sessions. There's a lot of people in LA that there's a lot of people that like writers that get on like a circuit where they're working, trying to get trying to get involved with songs that end up going to big pop artists, and it kind of creates a bit of a like a workhorse attitude where where these writers are trying to write as much stuff as possible, as quickly as possible, and as relevant to the trends that are like present today. If there's a big song that's out right now, I don't know what song that would be. A big pop song. You'll hear a lot of these writers talking about, trying to make a song like this, trying to make a song like that, but slightly different so that it can be successful. And it's a really, if for me, for the type of artist I am, I find that kind of writing very, very difficult to be involved in and to be around. And it kind of bypasses social interactions and like human connection. And it's just getting down to, let's write a hit. Let's write something really big. And it feels really cold. And it's like, it's like a writing by numbers kind of thing. And I've never really liked that and wanted to be involved in that, even though I have done sessions like that in the past. Anyway, there's a reason I'm telling you all this. So when it comes to my sessions, I want to enjoy my session. And the main thing that I want to do is have a connection with someone. And I invite them into my home. They come into my kitchen. And the first thing I do is offer them a coffee. And I make a coffee and we'll talk and I'll get to know them. And, at the end of the day, like, for some people, their personality, is really easy to just like, get on with them straight away. And there's, you don't need to say much and you feel like there's a connection and you feel like you could go straight up to a room and start writing. Some people are nervous. Some people feel uncomfortable. Some people, can feel uncomfortable because they're in a room, it can be a woman that's in a room with a man and it's just us, or one other person, and they can, it can be difficult to make them feel comfortable. And I want to make them feel comfortable. And I find like coffee and conversation around a kitchen is my way to start that process. And then if things are feeling good, go to the studio and start writing. I always tell anyone that I'm working with for the first time, there is no pressure to make anything. There's no pressure for this to be a good session. The only thing that I'd like you to do is have fun and enjoy the day. And normally that works out as a great session and I get something good from it. So I'm basically tricking them into thinking that, it's just got to be a nice day. I want a good song. but in reality, I take the approach that I'm fully prepared for to fail in writing something good. I just want to have a good day with someone. And it 99% of the time works out fantastic.
Yeah, I love that approach.
Does that make sense why I explained all of that shit?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Sorry, I feel so caffeinated.
I might have to go try the Panther coffee afterwards.
Yeah, fuck.
That's amazing. And so you're in Miami for a week?
No, I'm here till Sunday. We're playing the Toe Jam backlot for the Blackbook. Is it Blackbook Showcase? We're calling it Blackbook Showcase. We've got a bunch of artists playing there. And myself, and that sold out months ago. So playing that, and then I'm going back to LA. Nice and easy. I don't have huge ambitions for my Miami week anymore. Just come in, do the shows, meet whoever I said that I would meet, which is normally not that many people. I don't normally tell anyone I'm coming in, to be fair. So. Yeah, it's nice to see you.
Yeah, that's one of the things I noticed. I was touring with Seth Troxler last year, and
did I see him on a picture out here?
Yeah, you did.
I did. Yeah.
Yeah, and the number one thing I noticed was how many people you're constantly meeting when you're on the road, and it takes a lot of energy to introduce yourself and to say hi and communicate with all these people.
Remember who they are.
Yeah, that's out the window.
Yeah, that gets really embarrassing. It gets really embarrassing. I've had the same tour manager for a little while, and ironically, he's not here because he was He was being a degenerate at space all last night. So shout out to Eric Tomlinson. You little blonde bitch. I hope your hangover is fucking painful today. But anyway, luckily, he's really good with names and remembering people, and he can tell when I don't have a fucking clue who stood in front of me. So he'll figure out who the name of that person is and remind me who it is. So I forget a lot of people.
Are you going to be on the road a lot this year?
Not, yeah, a decent amount. I've taken it pretty easy so far this year.
What are some of your favorite places to go back to?
Japan. I love going to Japan.
Oh, really?
Yeah, fantastic country. Food's phenomenal.
You're a big sushi guy.
I love sushi.
Delicious. I might go have some after.
Yeah, exactly. You're getting me thinking.
I've never been to Japan, but I've heard everyone I've spoken to has always said good things about Japan.
No, it's phenomenal. It's really, really cool. The culture's really nice. The people are really friendly.
Good parties.
Yeah, it's really fun. They're really passionate. I don't play that much there, but they're very wild.
Really?
Yeah. I think Japan was the first place that I played where I saw fans crying when I walked in the room. It was a bit weird, but Chris like, ooh. Calm down. Calm down.
Yeah, they like to drink whiskey or wine and what is it? Hibiki and no, that's sake. What's the liquor that they like to drink in Japan?
Sake.
Sake.
Yeah.
You get after that sometimes?
I don't drink.
Oh, you don't drink at all?
No, this is actually my 14-year sobriety anniversary.
As of today?
As of today.
Wow.
Miami.
Congratulations.
You fucked me. Yeah. No, it was Miami that kind of drove me to quit drinking because I was a bit of a fuckwit before.
Yeah, I think Miami might drive me to quit drinking one day as well.
Well, you're doing a good job. You got a little soda in your
Might
hand.
have sneaked in a Corona as well.
Double
Maybe
fisting.
some sushi and sake afterwards. Yeah, but talk to us a little bit about Blackbook and everything you have going on.
What do you want? Oh, yeah.
It's a nice shirt.
Thank you very much.
I need me one of those.
You can have one if we've got any left. Blackbook was just created on a whim, honestly. There was back in 2017, I was signed to a really, really big fucking shit label, and
I love the brutal honesty, by the way.
that's all good.
That's great.
Yeah,
That's what the people want.
I'm comfortable with it. Anyway, so once I got rid of those fuckwits, I had my first single, which was Operator, and which they'd rejected. And anyway, I was like, I'd sent it to Danny Howard, who is a massive Radio 1 DJ. Radio 1 being the biggest radio station in the UK. He's actually now got the flagship dance show in the UK. At the time, he had the second biggest show. Anyway, he was standing in for Annie Mac, which was the main show, and he said to me, I'd been on Skype to him at the time. I played him the song, and he called me up the next day, and he's like, "I love that song. I'm filling in for Annie Mac. Would you be down to give me that song? If you give it to me, I'd like to make that the hottest record of the world," which was like the big like accolade slot within the radio show. And I went back to the team and told them about the phone call. I was like, "This is pretty cool. We've got this opportunity to have hottest record in the world. I really think we should go with this. We're now out of the label. We're now out of the deal, and let's do this. Let's put this out. Let's actually give it. Let's give him the record, have it come out as the hottest new record, and drop it the same day." I was like, "Okay, cool. So how are we going to do this? All right, we need to set up a record label. All right, what are we going to call it?" Grabs a piece of paper. All right, we're going through a bunch of names. Okay, Blackbook Records. All right, cool. What's the logo? So Ian, who's working, he just started working with me by that point. He's like, drew out a little logo. I was like, that'll do. Use that, put that up, went to a distributor, sorted out the distribution of the release, put it up on the Friday, and it really ended up being the kickstarting record for everything that you see today. It became really, really big. Shortly after, there was a festival on a cruise ship called Holy Ship, and that year there was 2 sailings, and across the 2 sailings, I think it was on the first sailing, it got played 13 times by different DJs. But that was really like, in particular at the time, it was the artists that were getting booked for Holy Ship were all tastemakers. It was a very, very cool, trendy lineup, and the fans that went to that event were just true diehard fans, you know, spending money to go on a fucking cruise ship and be enclosed in for days on end just to listen to dance music and dance music only. That these fans would crop up everywhere around North America, and you knew it because they were called Ship Fam, and you know they'd be wearing shit and talking about being Ship Fam and stuff, and those, like, you know, that song ended up connecting to all of those people, and that became they became like a very like the nucleus part of like my fans. Anyway, the song was so popular on the first sailing that Gary Richards, who ran the festival at the time, called up my team halfway through that sailing and said, "This song is so big on the ship. What's the chances that Chris would come out and play on the second sailing?" So I ended up going on the second sailing and playing the song, and that started my relationship with, you know, a lot of the DJs that were on that boat, and Gary, and it was a really, really cool moment. But that was the song that started everything for Blackbook Records. I think there was some other bits that I missed out there, but that was how the label started. But really, it was just a way for me to start releasing music after having gotten out of a very bad deal with a shitty label.
That's amazing. You doing any other sailings?
My answers are really fucking long, aren't they?
No, but that's good. Because I mean, the people want to know. You know?
I don't know if they want that much information.
I'm telling you, they do.
Fair enough.
Are you doing any other sailings, or this is on a cruise you mentioned?
I can't see it.
I've never done that, but that sounds like. I mean, you mentioned
a lot.
The people who go on there, they're ready
to
party. Huh?
I've done a lot of them. I've done a lot of them.
You've retired from the sailings.
I'll tell you, it's a lot.
I've never even been on a cruise.
Well, you got to go pop your cherry.
I want to ask.
It's good fun. I think the only one that there's Gary Richards has a new one now, which is called Friendship. They just went out to, where did they sail to? They sailed to I can't remember, somewhere, a country, Belize. They went to Belize, and then and now Insomniac does the EDSEA. And yeah, they're the only two really now. Oh no, there's a third one. Groove Cruise, that's it. I've done Groove Cruise as well.
Would you recommend it?
You'll have a great time. You'll be fucked afterwards though. You'll be fucked.
I can't even imagine just being, middle of the ocean, great music, party people, having a time.
No one's sleeping.
No one's sleeping.
No one's sleeping. I've seen some dumb shit happen on those things. Holy crap! I'm not telling you stories. Carry on.
Oh, you can't tease us like that.
No, there's some really bad ones. So, thank you. 2 cents. I need some.
Oh yeah, no worries, of course.
G'day.
And so, with all the success, there's a lot of challenges that come with it as well.
Like what?
how have
You trying to go deep on me here?
I'm trying to go a bit deep, you know, for the some upcoming artists as well that may be watching, or you know, people look up to you and stuff.
I'm sorry.
How do you navigate, you know, those difficult moments when, like you mentioned, you maybe make a song and then you fucking hate it afterwards?
Don't release it. Yeah, I mean, like, I think it's important to love what you do. I mean, look, I do. I really think it's important to love what you do. I think for anyone getting started in the industry right now, I really urge you to love it first and foremost, enjoy it, and what's the best way to put this? Tame your expectations from the industry. It's an industry to, well, actually, first off, don't treat it as an industry. Just treat it like treat it as a hobby, and love it. Be creative and just try and find your place. Because I feel as if a lot of expectations come from needing to find success financially. This is an absolute bitch of an industry. It really is a bitch of an industry to monetize. I went for so long never thinking about if I could make it financially self-sustainable. It eventually happened, but you know, I was always prepared to work to support being able to make music, and I've done some shitty jobs, really, really shitty jobs. I'm very proud of doing it though. You know, the last job that I had, I think it's well documented. I was a postman. I was a postman for 3 years, and I absolutely loved it. And it's the hardest I've ever worked, doing both, you know, mail delivery for the Royal Mail in the UK, and then making music. I was very, very tired, sleeping very little, constantly making music, but I did it driven by passion, and then I was able to break through because people started supporting my songs, and that gave me, well, I signed my first big record deal. I got an advance I did a song in made it in 2005, released in 2006, called Changes, and I got a £25,000 advance, which is huge for me at the time. And
that was the first big one.
That was the first big one, and I used that to pay off my student loan, and I ended up putting a down payment on a house in Scotland. That was the first thing I did, and then shortly after, touring really started to pick up off the back of that song, and my boss at the time pulled me into the office one day, and he's like, "What the fuck are you doing still here?" He's like, "Quit, leave. You don't need to be here anymore." But I was kind of like, I was really kind of prepared to work as long as I needed to support being able to make music. And it took me a little while to realize, you know, I'm probably there. I could probably do this now. I could probably keep this boat afloat, you know, just by doing music. So, and now 20 years on, I'm still here talking about it. I made it, Mum.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah,
That
but that would. Sorry, I like to answer. Yeah, that would be my advice in regards to how I think people should approach trying to gain success. It's like you got to be careful about how much expectation you have on yourself. It's not like I don't feel like it's as simple of a career choice as certain ones, because it involves a certain amount of flair and identifying what that flair is, and kind of like it's art. At the end of the day, you've got to kind of like you've got to find that magic that you have within you to exploit, and everyone's got it somewhere. You just got to identify it. I think I figured mine out. You know, I've always said it's nice when you listen to a song. I think if you can get to a point where you go, oh, you hear a song and you go, oh, that sounds like a such and such. like such and such made it. I think if you get to that point, you're in a really, really good spot. I think that's something to kind of like try and achieve. And that comes from, having an individual sound, and normally that individual sound comes from someone focusing on their individual flair. So that's something I'd recommend you do. Again, that's a long answer.
But it makes a lot of sense. And, I've heard many other people talk about it. It has to come from within.
Mm-hmm.
It can't be some extrinsic, expectations, the numbers, the streams. You got to do it because...
You can do it that way, but I mean...
It's more difficult that way, no?
That's a bit shit as well.
I mean, even myself as a content creator, when you're focused on the results and like what's going to be the viewership and all this shit, it never ends up doing as well, because you're not focused in the craft.
Right, but like, I think it's
you
definitely
can't ignore the numbers.
Yeah, right, of course. But it's like with podcasting, you kind of it's quite immediate to be able to show your personality, right? So, and because you're having a conversation on camera, think about that in musical terms. How can you show your character in music? That's like, and if you're looking at everything that's popular, and then just trying to copy it, how's that have an identity? That's not having identity at all. Have your own ideas, have your own voice, have your own opinions. What's that look like musically? That's really what people should be trying to achieve. Otherwise, you're just blending into the crowd. You're doing what everyone else is doing. You're saying what everyone else is saying. It's like, that's not valuable. That's shit. Sorry.
You got to differentiate.
Yeah. Yeah. That sounded really profound. I'm quite proud of that one. Clip it.
So you have Toe Jam this week. After that, you're headed back to LA.
I am.
Big album release.
Mm-hmm.
Big single release.
We're mixing up the dates. I know we're talking about, I'm in Miami right now, but this is coming out in April. And I've just said that I'm announcing things. We're recording this in March, people. We're frauding you.
So, do you want to leave the viewers with anything else that's upcoming? Obviously, the album just dropped.
Have you noticed I look to the back of the room?
Oh, it's just announced. Sorry, July it's dropping.
July it's dropping. Yeah. Yeah, what else do I want to say? Huh?
Wow, Mumbai.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
How are the Indian parties?
We're going to find out soon. They're really fun, actually. I've been out there a couple of times. So, yeah, there's quite a few things going on. I've got obviously a whole bunch of stuff planned around the album and touring. Some of those things I can't fully announce right now, but there's immediately I'm doing the Coachella. I'm opening the campgrounds. This is the first time they've done it. They're setting up a stage for me to perform on the Thursday, only for the campers.
First weekend?
First weekend.
Oh,
yeah. So I think that could be. Well, it'd be interesting to see how many people turn up, but that could be upwards of 50,000 people. So, yeah, that'll be fun. That'll be really, really fun. That's the first time they've done it, and massive thank you to everyone at Coachella for kind of like participating in this vision. They're kind of like they knew that I was doing the album, and gave me the opportunity to have the stage and announce the album on the same week. So that's worked out really, really good. I've had some good moments with Coachella. I don't know if you saw in 2023, me and Fisher shut down Hollywood Boulevard in LA.
That's insane.
Yeah, it was really fun. And
that has to be crazy.
Yeah, that took 4 years to plan.
4 years?
That took 4 years.
Literally, like, everything has to stop.
Oh, yeah. No, oh, God. Honestly, the things we had to do to make that show happen were ridiculous. And we got absolutely bent over backwards by some of the businesses that had to close down. They absolutely fucked us. It was so expensive to do that show, but
it was worth it.
Oh, fully. Yeah.
Videos. It's just,
yeah.
That is honestly, I think, the most insane type of show. Like shutting down the whole fucking street.
We're really proud of it. We're proud of not, both myself, Fisher and when we do stuff together, we you know, I think we're quite aligned in the idea that we're in search of the best vibe, not the biggest show, always, even though sometimes that goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
And when we did I think, I can't remember what it was, 2018 or 2017, me and him, we announced shows at the Shrine in LA. That's about 5,000 cap room. We ended up selling 3 of them out instantly. And we did those shows. We were really, really proud of having done the shows. Afterwards, we said, what are we going to do next? And there was a whole bunch of things that came up. There was stadiums offered, parks, and we weren't really confident about if we could make a really good show at any of them. But one of the things that got suggested was Hollywood Boulevard. And I never forgot it. I just latched onto it. I was like, if there's anything that we've got to make happen, it's that one. And I'd rather not play and wait for that to happen than do something mediocre. Anyway, the pandemic caused us a lot of problems. We were quite far down the road of making this happen for 2020. And then obviously the pandemic just derailed that. But yeah, we were able to pull that off. It was just unbelievably expensive. I think it cost. There was 10,000 people there. It looks a lot more than that, but it was just 10,000 people.
Yeah, it looks like 20, 30.
Yeah, and so there was a couple of businesses that like one of them charged us $100,000.
Wow.
Just in loss of earnings, which there's
completely
no way.
Inaccurate.
Completely inaccurate. They were bending us. They were bending us over backwards. And then there was a parking lot that we had to have. It was right next to the stage, which we needed for loading and unloading, and then for there was a VIP section, and then for our trailers and stuff like that. There was no way the show could happen unless we had this parking lot. And up on the sign of the parking lot, it says we'll close down this parking lot for any event for $18,000. They charged us $53,000. So that was kind of like the level of that was the level of how much we were getting fucked on this show. But we were so committed. We were like, it doesn't matter. We'll deal with it. And the end results fully justified everything that happened.
Wow.
And then we go to Australia. I'm playing Fish's Out to Lunch Festival, and then I'm doing a bunch of shows out there. So I'm really giving you the longest answers ever.
I think you need a bit more caffeine, Chris.
Yeah, and then and Brooklyn. Where am I playing in Brooklyn? Brooklyn Storehouse. Day of album release. So April.
Wow.
So July 11th. Yeah, we're doing the album show. There we go.
Do you want to give away one ticket to maybe a lucky fan who watches the YouTube? You don't have to, by the way.
Yeah, sure.
What do you want them to comment?
What do I want them to comment?
Yeah, they have to comment. You'll pick the comment. We'll send you the comments. One person will get a ticket to the album release party in Brooklyn. What do they have to say?
Too much coffee.
Too much coffee.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. Well, I'm really excited. That's I just couldn't remember what the name of the venue was, but yeah, we're putting a lot of work into these shows, and yeah, it's a really cool venue. So yeah.
Big year.
What are you rolling your eyes at? Oh, okay. Fucking Nate.
Well, Chris, thank you so much for coming on.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Big year ahead.
Thank you.
All the success. Definitely going to smash it.
I hope so.
I can't wait to see the videos of this.
I'll play the album as well.
I wonder how much they're going to fucking charge you there.
I mean, yeah, I know. You know what though? When you're trying to do, I promise you, the last thing we're ever thinking about when we're doing these shows is money.
Yeah, of course.
But then we get the bill at the end and we're like, fuck. We should have talked about money. Yeah, that Hollywood one cost us, that was a 1.5 million to throw it. So it's expensive.
Thank you so much, Chris, for coming on. Appreciate it.